Hi, you guys, it's Yaz. I want to tell you about my two books that are on Amazon, okay? You can download them free with the trial membership from Kindle. The first book is Regain Your Power. If you're in a relationship and you feel like your partner has all the control in the relationship, maybe you're walking around on eggshells, you're afraid to approach them, it's going to tell you how to regain your power and be happy in the relationship, okay? And what you may be doing wrong, and that's why your partner has all the control in the relationship. The other book is Signs He's Not Into You, He's Wasting Your Time. There's a lot of people that are dating someone or in a relationship with somebody who's not really vested in the relationship. And we often are confused as to whether our partner really likes us or is into us or wants a future with us. And this book is going to give you signs and red flags of whether your partner is into you or he's just basically drifting and wasting your time. So go to Amazon and download the Kindle free trial membership. Doesn't cost you anything. And check it out. It may help you. Okay? And have a great day. Hi, you guys. It's Yaz. Today, I want to talk about texting and mind games in dating, okay? Because I think there's not a lot of clarity on this. And this is why a lot of people, they start with somebody and somebody clearly gives them red flags that they're not all into them or something along those lines, or that this person they're not going to go anywhere with, or this person is a clown. And they don't recognize it. And there's ways you can recognize it in somebody's texting game or, the mind games that people play. So I want to talk a little bit about texting, you guys, okay? When it comes to texting, in the beginning, when you start talking to somebody by text, all right? If somebody is texting you all the time and they never want to get on the phone, we already know this, right? We've said this on and on before. If they're always texting, they never want to get on the phone, a lot of times it's because they got somebody, okay? They have their old man, old lady sitting on the couch next to them, or they're dealing with a lot of people, okay? That's why it's important to see if they get on the phone with you, and if they get on the phone with you every single day, all right? They need to be consistent. Consistency is key. Anytime you see any kind of flakiness, you have to know that you're not dealing with somebody who's all into you. You have to know that that person is juggling you. You have to know that this person is not making you a priority. And here's one of the most crucial things that you have to realize. And a lot of people, they take this for granted, not realizing and not really looking into it and thinking about it. A lot of times when you start texting somebody, right? And, you're not playing games, you're going in, giving that person, your sincerity and everything like that. They text you, you text them right back. You don't play games, because if you play games, it's going to be a disaster. You're going to be playing games back and forth, and it's a loser for both sides. So this is what it is, you guys. You show that person respect. Okay, I always talk about respect because it is, when you talk about relationships, it's all about respect, okay? You've got to respect who you're with, and they've got to respect you, because you can't have love, you can't build love without respecting who you're with, okay? So not only do they need to respect you, you need to respect who they are, okay? And that's why they have to show you who they are. So I'm going to give you guys an example, all right? I had talked in my prior podcast about my girlfriend who met somebody. He left her hanging. He wanted to come see her. He didn't live close. He lived like 3 hours away. He wanted to come see her, and he was supposed to come see her on a Saturday, and he left her hanging up until Saturday night, right? And why was he doing that? Because he was playing his options, okay? He had something else going on where he lived. This is why you got to be careful of, these long distance relationships where you're not there, you're not able to see what that person is doing. You can't check that person. Now, this particular person lived 3 hours away, all right? So when this guy was flaky, she was like, you know what? He's done this and that. He doesn't text me till Saturday night, 7 o'clock, 10 o'clock, and he's not saying he's coming to see her and all this other nonsense. So what she did is she deleted him off her social media because they were friends on Facebook and Instagram and everything like that. And then the next day, she just completely ignored him. Of course, he's going to try her the next day, okay? Because he knows he fucked up. He knows he strung her along, all right? And now it's Sunday after the party. This is what they do. After when they're supposed to see you and they cancel or they, ghost on you or something like that, the next day they're going to come on fast and furious because they're afraid that, you're going to pull back. So now what they do is they're going to try to reel you back in, okay? Now, in the beginning, she was like, you know what? He's RIP, he's done and everything like that. But after a day or two, she got weak. Okay? Big mistake. But she wanted to give him the benefit of the doubt. This is what happens, you guys, when you give people the benefit of the doubt that fuck up, okay? I'm going to tell you what exactly happened. So she ends up texting him and she gives him a piece of her mind. She tries to keep it classy, and it was just like letting him know, you know what? This is unacceptable. If you couldn't make it, you should have just said you couldn't make it. I don't tolerate disrespect and all of that. And he's like, I didn't do anything wrong. I had intentions of coming to see you. He totally gaslighted her, total nonsense, whatever. And he says to her, I want to make it up to you. Now, because this guy was such a nice looking guy, okay? She was very, very attracted to him. He's very good looking. He can get a lot of women. She fell into the trap, okay? So she said to herself, okay, sure, all right? So what happened was, he's like, I'll call you later. He calls her later, around 6 o'clock, the touch base call. And then later on in the evening, he starts texting her. And he's asking her, are there hotels around where she lives? Because she already told him, he can't come to her house. Not the first time they meet. Definitely don't bring anybody to your house in the beginning till you've gone out with somebody at least 6 times, okay? Because you don't know who these people are. This person could be a thief. This person could be a child molester. You have kids. You don't know who this person is. And then if they come to your house, they know where you live, okay? I had a girlfriend who was dealing with somebody like that. She went out with the guy once. The second time, she brought him to her house. He knew where she lived. They ended up having a falling out. And the next thing you know, the guy and his friends were throwing bottles at her house, okay? So this is why I'm telling you, you don't know somebody in the beginning. So this guy starts texting her and he's asking her all these questions about kind of making pseudo plans about how he wants to come out to see her, what hotels are in your area, where exactly is your area, and all of this, right? So she's texting back and she's telling him her area code, and she's asking him a question, and she asks him a question and she says to him, have you ever been around this area? And he doesn't reply. He doesn't reply in the middle of the conversation. Okay? So now it's an hour later. She texts him, shaking my head, to let him know, here we are having a texting conversation and you just kind of fall off. All right? Doesn't even respond. Here's somebody trying to, pretending that he's dying to come see her, and in the middle of the conversation, he just stops texting, okay? And she knew that something was up. She said to herself, you know what? Something's not right. He's probably with another female or something's going on, whatever the case may be. She tried to call him an hour later, okay? from when she left her last text and he didn't respond. And the phone goes directly to voicemail. She tried 2 other times. The phone went directly to voicemail. Well, don't you know that 2 hours later, he decides to text her, okay? She ended up just writing and saying something like, forget it, bye, okay? Because at this point, you know what? That's 2 strikes, that's 2 fuck-ups, and that's it, okay? He ends up texting her 2 hours later, totally not even acknowledging her texts, and says something to the effect of, well, I want a hotel with a pool, and I'm trying to get a room and a trip, and then texts, I have a package, and then texts her at 1 o'clock in the morning, what are you doing? Okay? This is straight up clown. Straight up clown. In other words, he is testing her. He's trying to play this. This is what a lot of them do, you guys, all right? When you call them out on something, that they're doing that is flaky, they ignore you. And then they just continue in with the conversation. And that's exactly what he did. There was no apology like, I'm sorry, my phone died, or I'm sorry, I fell asleep, which are all excuses, granted, because she had just texted him back. So don't fall for anything that sounds like, nonsense. But here's the point. This is the reason that I wanted to bring this up, for a couple of reasons. Number one, when somebody shows you who they are in the beginning, you have to take it seriously, okay? He showed her he's a flake. He showed her that he couldn't follow through on the date that they were supposed to have Saturday. She waited around, which was her mistake, instead of saying, are we on or are we off? Even the fact that she would have to say that to him without him making it clear shows you that you don't have somebody who's on the ball. You have somebody who's jerking you around, okay? That was first flag mistake. But because she really liked this guy, okay, because he was good looking, whatever, all right, she decided to give him another chance, okay? This is why I tell you guys, your cutoff game has got to be fierce in the beginning, or you're going to be dragged through the mud, okay? And the more that they see that they could put you through, the more they are going to put you through, because now they know you're a dope, okay? Now they know that you don't respect yourself, and you're going to keep chasing them, and you're going to keep putting up with that, and you're going to keep making excuses for them. And now you're showing how thirsty and desperate you are for them, okay? Why? Because they disrespected you and you didn't walk away, okay? And the other point that I want to bring up in all of this is this, okay? If you're dealing with somebody and you guys are texting back and forth and you're in a conversation and that person waits to reply back to you over an hour, okay? You give them 1 hour from the last text you left. And you know that they're there, they're replying back and forth, you're having a conversation, and they just they don't get back to you in over an hour, and they just continue in with the conversation. They're not apologetic to anything about, like, I'm sorry, I got another call, that was my mother, or, I'm sorry, I had to help my kid with something, or whatever. If they just think that they could pick up the conversation whenever, however, whenever they feel like it, this is how they're going to treat you in the relationship. And if they're doing this in the beginning, this is a huge red flag, because this is when people are supposed to be at their best. This is when this person is supposedly showing you their best. And if this is their best, could you imagine their worst? This is somebody who will ghost on you for days and just come back and gaslight you and just tell you something like, I just needed time to myself, or just laugh it off or something, and then call you crazy because, you're insecure or something. It's like this, you guys, all right? You have to you treat people with respect, and you got to you got to look at it like this, all right? I always compare relationships to business, only in business, you don't have emotions involved, okay? It's like when I used to, I worked on the trading floor on equity trading years ago, where we dealt and we traded millions of dollars, okay? And we had big money manager clients that used to call up on the phone, all right? And there was no way you would call them back in an hour, okay? There was no way you would even leave that money manager client on hold for more than 2 minutes, okay? Because you would have got your head cut off by everybody there, because you're dealing in trading millions of dollars, okay? Because it's important, all right? And it's the same thing in relationships. If somebody can't take you seriously and is not serious in showing you respect, they can never love you the right way, okay? So why are you tolerating people that take you for granted, all right? They need, as like working the way I worked on the trading floor and taking it seriously and knowing that, I have to get this done, and I have important people that, this is important, okay? We're dealing with a lot of money here. It's the same thing in relationships. You are important, okay? Your time is important. You're not going to be jerked around, all right? And the problem is we let things go and we tolerate this nonsense because we're trying to give people the benefit of the doubt, and we're saying to ourselves, maybe they got busy. Everybody's got a life and everything like that, okay? Yeah, sure. Everybody's got a life. I have a life. I have kids too, okay? But if I'm dating somebody and I tell somebody, after my kids go to bed, I'll give you a call like around 10 o'clock and we could talk more or something like that. I am scheduling time to talk to that person. I am letting them know that I am busy. It's called courtesy. If this person can't give you courtesy, this is how you're going to be treated down the road, okay? This person is going to do what they want, okay? They're not going to be concerned about your feelings. They're not going to be concerned about leaving you hanging, okay? So this is where I'm going with this. So in my friend's situation, when he didn't text her right back, when they were talking about, him coming up to see her in the hotels, and he waited 2 hours, and she had already, texted him saying, forget it, bye. And he didn't even acknowledge what she was saying and just went back into the conversation. She knew, you know what? This is finally it. This is finally it, because I am not going to deal with somebody who is a flake. I am not going to deal with somebody who's gaslighting me, because in a way, this is kind of like he's gaslighting her in texting because he's not acknowledging what she's saying. And this, when you guys are out there in the dating world and, you're dealing with that person, you got to say to yourself, you know what? Are they dealing with me the way they would deal with their boss? If their boss texted them and was having a conversation about something at work, are they going to just, not get back to them for an hour and a half and then just pick up the conversation? No, because they know better. They know better, okay? They treat you according to how you let them treat you, okay? And if you just kind of ignore the behavior and let it go, it will continue and it will get worse, okay? So if you're dealing with somebody, and the point is, if you're dealing with somebody and you're starting out texting, and this person, they're texting you, you guys are having a conversation, and all of a sudden that person disappears and comes back and in the middle of the conversation an hour or two later, and there's no apology, there's no reason why they didn't, continue the conversation or whatever. It's just them being flaky, or maybe they're juggling you and talking in between you, because they do that a lot too. They'll be talking, especially online dating, which is a joke. They're talking to you and they're talking to 4 other people, and you're waiting. There's that lag in between them coming and texting you, in between texting other people. that's going to show you how interested they are in you, okay? Because if there's always that lag in conversation, you are not their priority. You're not their first choice, okay? If somebody sits there and makes you wait, you are not their first choice, okay? Remember this, you guys. It is so true. I've been out there a long time. I know the game. This is why I'm doing this, to let you all know, okay? But the point is, if you've gotten into that conversation, that texting conversation with the person, and, you're in the middle of a conversation and that person, just, stops texting and it's over an hour, and then all of a sudden they come back and they answer your question and they're not saying why it took them so long to text you back, delete and block that person. You are saving yourself from a headache down the road. Delete and block that person. That person has just shown you are not a priority. You will not be a priority. This person is juggling you. This person is not all into you, okay? Or they're just a flat out flake, okay? And you can't have a relationship with somebody who's a flake and doesn't take things seriously, because this is somebody who won't be able to plan a date. This is somebody that you can't rely on to follow through on a date, that may, ghost you or something like that. So any kind of flaky shit you see, that person's got to be deleted, because you're either not dealing with somebody who's got a full deck, a good head on their shoulders, or you're dealing with somebody who is jerking you around, all right? And believe me, it doesn't get better later on. You got to get rid of these people, you guys. Now, when it comes to the texting game, you guys, I've been through this 1,000 times. Go back and listen to, my earlier podcasts on, rules for dating and all that, okay? But like I told you, when somebody brings up sex in texting, anything, they are trying you. They are testing you and seeing, if you're going to be a freaky chick and text them back, they know that they're going to get it easy, or they're going to see if you're going to stop them, all right? And disengage from any of that, all right? So they all test you. Most of them do, all right? Most of them will test you unless you're dealing with a really classy guy, or a guy, that has morals and values and knows better that he shouldn't be doing that, all right? But somebody, a clown is always going to test you. A clown is always going to bring up sex, all right? And some of them that think they're slick in the game, they won't bring it up in the very beginning because they know you may be watching. But you got to see, this is why I tell you, endurance is key. You don't just jump and go meet somebody. You gotta screen these people. You got to see who you're dealing with. I had a debate with somebody about this, and she's like, I don't agree with that at all. You've got to meet them first and see if there's chemistry with them, okay? There's two kinds of chemistry, all right? There's physical chemistry and there's mental and emotional chemistry, all right? So what you need to do is you need to check their mental chemistry. Are you guys intellectually compatible? Is this person a crackpot and a nut? And the only way you're going to know that is by having conversations with them. And you want to know that before you go and meet somebody, because you don't know what you're going to be dealing with, all right? So before you put yourself in that place going and meeting somebody, they've got to be willing to get to know you on a mental level, all right? They've got to be able to have conversation. And if these people can't have conversations with you, and everything always reverts back to, oh, you're so sexy. Oh, I'm going to be all over you. I'm going to be all over you. Okay, like my girlfriend, the guy that flaked out on her. That's one of the things he was saying. Oh, I'm going to be all over you. Red flag, okay? That was another red flag. And yet she only had maybe one or two phone conversations with him about other things in their lives, okay? If you can't sit down with somebody and talk about other things besides sexual things, you've got nothing with that person except a romp in the hay. That's all you got with them, all right? And if you start with sex, okay, and if you go and rush and meet these people, the first thing you're going to be feeling is that chemistry, that lust. You're not going to want to sit there across from somebody that you're lusting over and start and get into, intellectual conversation, because you're sitting there, you're lusting them. So you got to get that other stuff out of the way first and really see what that person's about. And you've got to see that if they don't want to have conversation with you, then they don't want you for nothing but a booty call, okay? They don't want you for nothing but a booty call, okay? Because when somebody wants you for a relationship, they want to be able to spend time with you in situations where there's not sex involved, all right? You've got to think about it. With this person that you're starting to talk to, are you able to go out with this person, let's say, on 5-6 dates and be able to have a good time without having sex? Is the conversation good? Do you guys vibe together? Do you have things in common? Do you like the same things? Are you going towards the same goals? Are you at a place in your life and they're in a place in their life that you're ready to move forward in a path together? You're on the same page, okay? This is why you got to have these conversations in the beginning before you go and meet them, because the fake ones won't do it. The fake ones won't want to get on the phone. They'll get on the phone the first day, the second day, and usually, very rarely, they will stay consistent. Believe me when I tell you, okay? It is so true. I have seen it time and time again, okay? They think because they get on the phone the first or 2 days, like, I showed her I got on the phone. Okay. No, they're trying to fool you and pretend like, they're all into you and everything like that. But by day 3, 4, 5, 6, they're no longer calling you. That is a red flag. That is why you don't rush and go meet these people. That is why you wait at least a week or 2 or longer and have at least 6 conversations, for at least a half hour or longer each day, to see if this person really likes you or if they're just juggling you. Somebody who's juggling you will not be that consistent with you, okay? They won't have the time. They're not going to want to put work into you and get on the phone with you every single day, even for a week or 2. They can't even make it past the first week. Believe me when I tell you, the fake ones can't even make it past the first week. So, that's how you're going to know if somebody really, because we get this all the time, you guys. We get this question all the time from a lot of women. I don't know if he's into me. He sends me mixed signals. He's hot and cold. One day he tells me how much he likes me, he misses me, and then the next day he's missing, okay? And then he comes back, okay? Somebody who comes at you, disappears, comes at you again, disappears, is somebody who's not all into you, is somebody who's juggling other people, is somebody who is not making you a priority, and is somebody who is not looking for a relationship, okay? So you got to recognize that. It's consistency, you guys. It's consistency. You got to ask yourself, when you're dealing with these people, you got to ask yourself, how does this person make me feel? Do I feel good? Now, the love bombers and the players, yeah, they're going to make you feel great in the beginning. But here's the thing. Listen and listen good. If you're talking to them, right? The longer you wait, in other words, let's say you wait 2 weeks, 3 weeks, whatever, you're going to take your time with this person, and they hate that because they feel that, if you take your time, it's going to give you more time to see them who they are, and they don't like that because they're trying to fool you, all right? So here's the thing. You have to just kick back and you have to talk to this person. You got to watch their consistency. You got to watch, their pattern with you. Are they just giving you the good morning, good night texts? That's not getting to know somebody, okay? That's the breadcrumb. That's the string along. Are they not giving you their free time? Okay, because we got that too. But here's the thing. If you got to recognize and know your inner feelings and say, how is this person making me feel after, let's say, of talking to them after a month? Am I feeling good or am I feeling in the dark? Okay? Anybody who gives you confusion, anybody who puts you in the dark where you don't know, I don't know if I'm seeing them this weekend. They said we were last week, but I haven't heard anything this week, and now it's Thursday and I haven't heard anything. Anybody who gives you that, leaves you hanging, all right? You delete and block that person. That person is jerking you off and juggling you, and they are a waste of your time, okay? You want somebody who's serious, shows you that they're serious, and serious people don't leave you in the dark. They make plans, okay? They plan out dates. They don't leave you hanging, okay? And I'm telling you, I mean, I know it's hard because you say to yourself, you know, you're really trying and it's rough in this dating world and they are showing me some attention and everything like that. Yeah, people will always show attention here and there. But what good is it if it's not consistent, all right? You want to be somebody's choice number 2 or 3? Okay? Is that what you want? You want them to contact you on a Saturday when their first choice canceled on them? So you're option number 2, which means that they're really not that into you. They're just filling in their night, okay? No, you don't. You don't. Because if they're not that into you, it gets worse later on, okay? And they'll replace you in a second as soon as somebody else that they like better comes into their life, rather, all right? So now, with the texting game, anybody that you deal with that is just sending you those stupid emojis, all right? I hate emojis, you guys. I think they are so stupid, all right? Emoji, when somebody sends that, that is a lazy way to communicate, all right? You know, unless you've been in a relationship with somebody, you know, and your boyfriend or your husband wants to send you a heart and you're at work or something, that's different. But in the beginning, don't send me a kissy emoji and you don't even know what I do for a living. Don't send me a kissy emoji and you don't reply to my texts and you reply 3 days later with a kissy emoji, okay? That is a 0. Okay, that is somebody that is a string along. They string you along with these stupid emojis, you know, with these little kissy emojis or whatever, okay? That's to keep you, you know, thinking, oh, they're thinking about you. You think, no, I don't care that you're thinking about me. Show me that you mean business. Show me that you know how to plan a date. Not that I'm left hanging and not knowing when I'm going to see you. Show me that you're able to be on the phone with me on a weekend and not disappear on a weekend. Show me that. Because if you can't show me that, then I know I'm dealing with a $9 bill. And people say, what's a $9 bill? Okay, my father used to say, that one's a $9 bill. A $9 bill is a fake. Then you know you're dealing with a fake. You're dealing with somebody who's telling you they're all into you, but they're really not showing you they're all into you, okay? So never believe anything that comes out of their mouth, okay? So let me just wrap up and say this one last thing, you guys, okay? I know I went off a little bit on a tangent here, but here's the thing, all right? Consistency, I said this 1,000 times, you know, every day, contact, get on the phone every day, doesn't have to be long, all right? Have them ask you questions about themselves. Any kind of flakiness, they get deleted. Don't give people second chances, all right? Unless in the beginning, hold up, let me just rephrase that. You could if you really like that person, you could tell them, listen, this is not how I deal when I'm trying to get to know somebody. You know, I like to, get on the phone. I like to talk to the person, see what that person's about. You're letting them know that, you know what, you're not a fly-by-night, okay? You're someone who takes it seriously. And if they can't take it seriously back, then they're not going to take it seriously, and they're not going to take you seriously. So, yeah, you could give them one pass and let them know, that you're not about the games. You're not about the games. You're not going to play game back on them either. Okay? See, this is the mistake that a lot of women do. They play games back. No. Okay? You're wasting your time. If you have to play games back, the only thing that you're doing is wasting your time and maybe get a chuckle later on by ghosting that person. That's it. That's it. These people are not worth your time. I'm telling you, the best revenge is best served cold, okay? You're showing them, you know what? I'm not that one. You're not even worth playing game back. I'm dealing with people that are on the ball. I'm dealing with people that, know how to live their life and live in their best life. People with a good head on their shoulders. People with values and have common courtesy and have class. Not some clown, not somebody who doesn't know how to treat people with common courtesy. These are not people that I keep in my life because I'm not going to deal with mess and drama and toxic relationships. I'm going to disengage and get away from that crap, all right? You're going to deal with people that treat you with respect, okay? And I know it's hard because you may not have other things going on in your life and you hate to cut them off and you say to yourself, you know what, I'm just going to play game with them back because I don't have anything else going on in my life. This is where you got to have your inner strength, okay? You got to have your inner strength and be able to cut that person off and be able to get back on the horse, all right? You got to be able to start reaching out and talking to other people. And the way you fill that void is you keep talking to other people. You keep your options open, okay? They're keeping their options open, and so should you. You don't put all your eggs into anybody's basket until they've proven it to you. So you keep your doors open. You don't look at that person like they are the end all. That's your future husband or that's your future wife. No, okay? Not until somebody, walks down the aisle with you or that's it, all right? Because till that day, you're not nothing with that person, all right? So you need to keep your doors open, all right? I hope that helps you. I know sometimes, you guys, I come on a little hard and everything like that. The only reason I'm doing this is I'm trying to help you because I've been there. I've been that girl. I dealt with a lot of this for many years. I've been around the way, okay? So I know what it is, and I'm trying to help you guys from being played, from being jerked around, from being somebody's option, okay? You got to be able to say no. You got to be able to cut off people. You got to stop making excuses. And that's it. And that's it. Cut these people off and start talking to somebody else and give somebody else a chance, because that other person could be the one who could be treating you right and be your future husband or wife. All right? I hope that helps you. If it did, please hit the subscribe button and share, you guys. Have a great day. Are you having a problem in your dating or relationship life and you need a question answered? Well, go to my website. The link is in the podcast description, and you'll see how you can ask Yaz a question and get it answered confidentially. So go to the podcast description and look for the link where it talks about how Yaz will answer your question. Audible is offering listeners a 30-day trial. Doesn't cost you anything. It's free 30-day trial. You get to select any book that you want on there and listen to it. They have books on there about breadcrumbing, love bombing, why did they lose interest, dating, relationship, any kind of book you're interested in and want to learn about, okay? You could listen to it in your car or if you're on the bus or the train. So go to my podcast description for the link at tinyurl.com/AskYazNow and start your free trial.